إن ربكم الله الذي خلق السماوات والأرض في 6 أيام ثم استوى على العرش.
Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen wa salatu wa salam ala nabiyyina Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Okay, we are now on the 4th episode from the Money Matters series, dealing with Bitcoin. Is it hard money, Maria? Is this the real money? Obviously, in the past, we spoke about what money is, a scam of money. The fact that it's baseless, you could say. It's just a piece of paper with
fiat money, not money, fiat money.
Yes, you could say it's been propped up in a kind of a scam way. It could drop out from underneath us anytime. So
more importantly, that it comes from debt. That's the most important piece of the puzzle. It only exists because of debt. That's it. No other reason.
Okay, it's created, you could say, from a scam, then from debt. Okay.
Yeah.
So now we have
this the transition from how it used to be to what they changed it to be is that in the past you had to go out and do work to produce money.
Yes.
So the work came first and the money was produced after that. Now we have a system whereby you get the money and then you work. That is the fundamental difference between interest and loans based economy and commodity based economy or real money, hard money based economy. So in order to produce and have, you need to work first. I mean, that's the ethos we need to be teaching our children. If you want something, you have to earn it. Whereas our whole society is built on, if you want something, borrow first and then earn it.
Yes. Okay. What's the fundamental flaw with that kind of way of making money? Is it the fact that we have inflation? Is it the fact that what's the knock-on effect, the key knock-on effect of having this debt-based money?
Ironically, the funny part, the problem with it fundamentally is a riba, because essentially, if money not only comes through a loan, and you always owe back more money than you borrowed, then you can never ever pay back the loan.
Yes.
I mean, if you had no money and I borrowed from you £10 and you owe me now £12, bro, there is no £12 in existence. It's only £10. You only made £10. When am I gonna get the extra £2 from?
Yes.
Borrow more in it, borrow more money to pay back the debt. And that's actually what they do. They actually borrow money to pay back old debts.
Got you. But oh, you're breaking up.
That's the £12 gone. Hear me now?
No, I'm saying the video. Oh, you're back now. Yeah, you're back now. You're back. You froze for a bit.
Yeah, so I'm saying that the system.
You're frozen up against.
Gone.
You're back. No, the point I was going to say is that these financial institutions, the central banks, don't mind printing money and don't mind making debt, because they always set to win. They will always win. They can't really lose, can they?
No, they can. Yeah, I mean, definitely banks do fail. That is, and also they factor in people who just go bankrupt.
Yes.
Because remember, they do have a process here whereby bankruptcy wipes away things. I remember in the center, we ordered 2 movable walls, and we paid them. They brought one wall, and then they didn't bring the other wall, and they said, "Oh, we're bankrupt." I said, "What about my money?"
Yes.
So it's gone. I said, "How do you mean it's gone?" That's the law. And if you file for bankruptcy, they sell all the assets, whatnot. Whatever's left goes to the pecking order. If you're at the bottom, you might get nothing, anything. I didn't get anything. So, whereas Islamically speaking, if you owe money, you will always owe money. You need to pay it back. So it's fundamentally a different thing. But primarily, the issue is I mean, for example, America, Europe, all these countries, we would think that they're rich.
Yes.
But all the things that they've made, the roads, the infrastructure, it's all on debt.
Mm.
So what they've done is they've brought forward from the future the money, the future to today. Not serious. That's how it works. So when I borrow money, the money has to be paid back tomorrow. So I'm bringing the money on the future to pay for today.
Yes.
So if I do that, what happens to tomorrow when I still want to grow some more? I reach into more of the future and I borrow back more and more. And you keep on reaching and reaching to the point whereby it just doesn't work anymore. That's where the pyramid comes to play, and the Ponzi collapses down, because you can only reach. I mean, basically, what it is that if I borrow, put it this way, if I borrow £10 today, that's fine. Next week, I need to borrow £15 because the money I borrowed last week is no longer good enough. So now I need to borrow £15. But then when the next week comes, I need to borrow now £25. And the next week comes, I need to borrow now £50. And next week comes, I need to borrow now £100. It's exponentially grows.
Yeah.
And at some point, it will.
So, I mean, from that, for example, taxes will always go up. Your taxes will never go down. They're always going to look for ways to get in more money from the people, because we think that, okay, in general, technology should make things easier, cheaper. And we wait for the day when prices go down, taxes go down, and wages go up. But it seems like if we're still piling on debt and have to pay back the debt year after year after the year, everything's going to go up. There's no way of.
Interesting you mentioned that, because since 1971, America specifically, I'm just using America as an example. America has been in a continuous deficit, except for when Clinton was in power, one small period of time when the government was actually bringing in more money than it was spending. Yes. But outside of Clinton, they've always spent more than they've brought in through taxation. Do they need to do that? Not necessarily. I mean, they could just. The thing is, you have to look at what do they need the money for in the first place? Why do they keep on printing more money? Because they keep on wanting to do more things.
Yes. Like wars, like many wars.
Like wars, like all these things on infrastructure that they think they need to do and want to do, they have to do it. But the thing is, things go, the cost of these things also go up. So they need to borrow even more money for those costs. And they also need to service old debts. So when they have to pay back old debts, they have to borrow new debt to pay back the old debt. I know it sounds ridiculous. Yeah. Because the way we described it is almost like a irresponsible individual who's got into serious $multi-thousand debt.
A gambler,
the gambler, typical guy who borrows money from the bank, can't pay it back. He goes to the local loan shark to borrow more money to pay off the bank and have some money on the side. But then he goes to the next guy to borrow even more money. It sounds ridiculous, but it's actually what happens.
Yes.
It's like, in my head, these scenarios of these people who have multiple credit cards. They have one credit card, and then they go to another next credit card, and then they go to the next guy who buys all the debt, and they say, we're going to consolidate all your debt. All these, bruv, it's not. It doesn't just happen with the people on the ground. It happens with the governments as well. And you have to remember, where did we learn it from? Where did we get this idea from? It's the whole system. I mean, for example, it's something that me and Abdul has spoken about quite often when we have our discussions. Is that, when it comes to business, a lot of people in business make money because they can borrow more. As in, the more money they make is because they've actually borrowed more money. Yeah. It's very few people, and I'm listening carefully, there's very few people in the West that makes money through genuinely having money. They invest money from the money they actually have. And the joke is there's actually tax reasons why. Let me tell you why. If I use my own capital and invested, those are taxable things. If I borrowed money, that's the money you spend through borrowed money, that's not taxable. So from a tax perspective, it's actually cheaper and better to borrow. Even Bitcoin, that's actually a new movement now. A lot of Bitcoiners, where they're saying, rather than sell your Bitcoin, just take out a loan on a Bitcoin. So imagine you got one Bitcoin that's now worth, let's say Bitcoin's now worth 42,000. So let's say, borrow money and use your Bitcoin as collateral. So borrow £10,000. Now the interest rate is about 2% a year. Okay, I've got interest you're paying at £10,000. But in that same year, Bitcoin's gone up by 100%. So you're actually making money and you're spending as well at the same time. But at the same time, the joke is you're not actually taxable. That money you borrowed, that £10,000 you borrowed on Bitcoin, it's not taxable. So when you pay back the debt, or when you come time to pay back the debt, it's time to pay the debt back. What you do is that you borrow more. You borrow 20,000, pay off the 10, and you're still at 10,000.
Yes, just keep pushing it back, pushing the debt.
Just keep pushing it back, the kicking the can down the road. And the joke is that's how many people. A lot of it's actually a fact that a lot of family wealth, like these family institutions that have built these millionaires, billionaires that have wealth in estates and that kind of. That's how they do it now. They have these massive multi-million-dollar houses or housing estates, and just borrow against their estate because the value of their house goes up more than the interest rate. So they can just live on the appreciation of the property of the house and still spend lots of money.
Yeah.
It sounds ridiculous, but that's how it works.
They know how to beat the system. Well, they set up the system for themselves and they know how to beat it. They know how to use it for themselves.
I mean, people were shocked a few months ago, or last year, I think it was, when it came out that Donald Trump was, I think he was in debt or some madness about he paid hardly any tax, that kind of stuff.
Yes.
What they don't realize is that there's a reason why he's like that. It's because real estate, property, that's how they do it. They put their money in the property and they borrow against the property. So
that's it.
As long as you don't sell the property, it's not a taxable event. And if you want to buy things, buy from borrowed money.
Yeah.
So you can live like a king based on borrowed money.
Based on debt. You not really got your own cash. It's just debt, living off the debt. Yeah. Okay, we've understood the kind of weakness of money and how the money system is, and now we're in a new era of Bitcoin. Understand how we can use Bitcoin, invest in Bitcoin. Obviously, what is Bitcoin, and what are the benefits of this currency?
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم. So the title of today's discussion was Bitcoin is hard money. And I used to hear this phrase quite often, and I used to wonder to myself, what's hard about it? I mean,
it's not tangible.
Well, that's the thing. What is hard money? What's the meaning of hard money? The meaning of hard money is money that is difficult or impossible to inflate. So fiat currency isn't hard money because you can easily print and inflate it and devalue its currency. Whereas things like gold is difficult to produce, difficult to mine, difficult to bring into market, and therefore its inflation rate is extremely low, i.e. it's extremely hard. It's hard to inflate, it's hard to manipulate, it's hard to devalue. So since Bitcoin is hard money, the meaning of that is Bitcoin is a monetary network of limited supply of 21 million Bitcoin that will never exceed more than that. And due to that, it is deflationary in nature. Now let's go for this quickly. Got to explain the meaning of the word deflation and inflation. These words are kind of inverse, they're kind of opposite. Because we think of inflation as blowing up a balloon, no, things getting bigger. But if things get bigger, but my money is getting less and less valuable, that's like going opposite direction. It's not getting bigger, it's getting smaller, as in the value of my money is smaller. But think of it in terms of the price of goods. So the price of goods in fiat money is inflating, it's getting bigger. I need more of those currencies to buy the same thing. So look, here's a little iPhone SE. This was, I think probably about 500 quid at the time when it was first released. Now, the same kind of phone when it was new, I think this was the SE2. So this is SE1, this is SE2, and this one was more expensive than this one.
Yes.
But they're the same essential things. I mean, they're not the same now, but they were both the same SEs of their time. So what happened? Inflation, i.e. I need more money to achieve the same result. I need to spend more money to get bread. I need to spend more money to buy a house. I need to spend more money to buy a car. That's the meaning of inflation. Deflation is the opposite. That means the price of goods in that currency is actually going down. Means I need less and less of it to spend each time. So there's actually this meme where they say a week's worth of shopping in 2012 was like 25 or like 50 Bitcoin. And then in 2016, it was like 10 Bitcoin. And in 2017, it was like 3 Bitcoin. And then this time it's like half a Bitcoin. So we've seen that as time is moving on, you would actually essentially use less and less Bitcoin to achieve the same thing.
Got you.
Now, just recently, for the first time, we reached 1 Bitcoin equal to 1 Tesla. So now you can actually spend 1 Bitcoin to buy a car, Tesla car, which is a very expensive car. And probably by the end of this year or next cycle, maybe a house will be 1 Bitcoin. Maybe at some point 5 houses will be 1 Bitcoin. So we see that the value, the purchasing power of Bitcoin is going up, i.e. the price of goods in Bitcoin is going down, is deflating. Now, the question is why? Some people are asking, why is it doing that then? I mean, is it magic money? We've never seen in our lifetimes money that gets more and more valuable as time goes on. Actually, no, lies, we have in certain countries.
But is it because it's getting rarer now? Obviously, the more Bitcoin that's being mined, doesn't necessarily mean as it's getting rarer and rarer, it's becoming more valuable.
No, it's becoming more valuable because more and more people are adopting it. It's to do with the adoption of Bitcoin and the use of Bitcoin as opposed to the rarity of it. We already know there's only 21 million, and that's never changed. That will never change. But people using it is changing. So let me give you an example. So if, for example, in this village, imagine we have a village, a small village, and the total amount of money in a village, if you add up all the money that everyone has in this village, there's only $100 in that village. That's it. So my man buys this, and someone he spends the money to buy that. I mean, money circulates, but it's only $100 circulating. And then some traveler comes by, and he brings in on with him $200, and then he goes and spends those $200. He brings up $200 into that economy. So now there's $200 in the same economy. Yeah. So that means that effectively the amount of money in circulation is doubled, but the amount of goods in that economy is still the same. So at some point, when the market reaches equilibrium, at some point it will balance off, whereby the money in circulation kind of equals what's available to spend it on. But I've just increased the money supply by doubled it. So the net effects at some level to achieve the same goal. That's actually what happens with inflation. When you inject more money into circulation, that means that people can spend more. And when they spend more, it means there's less of those things in supply. As in, if I'm buying chickens and wheat and bread, that kind of stuff, if there's still the same amount of bread in circulation, but there's now more money to purchase, it means I spend all and I buy up all the bread. There's no more bread left. Therefore, the price of bread itself becomes more scarce. Because I'm buying more. There's even this, someone mentioned, I think it was one of my lectures, that Musa Mansa, when he went to meet Hajj, he caused massive inflation when he went because he brought all this money into the lands and bought up all these things, and then the prices went up because of supply and demand. By buying up so much, that means there's less supply in circulation, which means that there's more scarcity, which means the price goes up. So when we say Bitcoin is hard money, we're saying that because it's not inflatable like fiat money. It doesn't have an infinite cap of supply to infinity. It has a limited supply, can't be changed, can't be manipulated due to government policy. Therefore, as more and more people use it, it means there's less and less of it available, which means the price of it or price of goods in that thing goes down rather than going up. So that's essentially what is meant by the term hard money, which is how we started off this discussion. But some people might want to say, okay, what is Bitcoin? Because we just spent the last 3 weeks bashing the current system. We've highlighted how the current system is based on debt, current system, isn't actually backed by anything other than just by debt, the promise to pay back the debt at some point in the future. What is Bitcoin then? Bitcoin, the premise of Bitcoin is to emulate gold. So let's look at what gold is and see how Bitcoin is the same as gold, or even better even. So gold, for me to get a gold, imagine this is gold. I've got a gold nugget, it's red gold. Now to get this, I can't wish it into existence. I said, there you go, there's my gold. I have to actually go somewhere and mine it. So I have to buy a pickaxe, find the location. I have to get my food to feed these mussels that I'm going to be mining. I have to have a little trolley thing to put all this ore inside it. I've got to transport this newly mined pieces of rock to my smelt. I have to heat up the cauldron, which means I have to now get wood or kindling or coal and heat up this gold. I have to melt it. I have to separate the gold from the other materials. All this effort I have to go to, and then when I finish, I get this.
So just got you. Are you saying that was the start of Bitcoin? Somebody want to emulate gold. This is how it started.
Yes. So basically, the Bitcoin Satoshi Nakamoto, he time when the global economy was collapsing, and the governments jumped in to bail out the banks, to pay the banks money to keep them afloat. And he essentially said that how is it banks get free money? How are they getting bailed out? Whereas the everyday man in the street, he don't get bailed out. He don't get no free money. So he wanted to make a system that rivals that type of system, and rivals it in a way that it brings it back to how money used to be, which is like gold. To get this gold, I had to earn it. So now, if I said to you, how much is this gold worth? How much should I give you for this gold? I would say, well, I had to go mine this gold, I had to transport the goods, I had to do all this stuff. It took at least 3 days. So 3 days worth of work and labor and skill, that's how much this is worth.
Gotcha.
Now, Bitcoin is digital, meaning that it's information. How do you tie information to the real? That's the question. How do you tie the information to the real? And the way you do so, or the way that Satoshi Nakamoto suggested doing so, is through digital mining. Now, I'm not going to the details about how it is. If anyone wants to know about how mining actually works, I have a series of 7 videos, short videos, which explains exactly the process of mining. Go to my YouTube channel called cryptohashreview.com. Crypto Hash Review. That's the website and YouTube channel. Anyway, but the point is, mining Bitcoin requires real world effort. As in, I have to do something in the real world to get digital Bitcoin. So that's the link between the digital and the real. Because at the moment, digital money that is produced by the Federal Reserve has no link to the real world. There's no work attached to it. It's just printed.
Can you just go into a little bit in regards to the real mining? Obviously, we have these massive warehouses full of computers. What are they actually needed to mine? What is the calculation that they need to do, which you associate with mining? What are they searching for? Why does it need so many computers?
Yeah, so it's like I said, it is best to refer to the video purely from the fact that we go from the beginning as to what are they looking for, why are they looking for it, and how they do it. But in a nutshell, to try and summarize it, each block, remember it's a blockchain. Each block, which has each block in the Bitcoin blockchain, has inside that block transactions. So let's use this box here. So we have this box. So inside this block, there are a list of transactions. You sent this, so when they put these transactions in this block, we need a special number, and this is a random number. It's random in the sense that we don't know what it is, but it's specific in the sense that it is specific to this block. We need to look for and find a specific number that makes this block unique, and to give this block a specific signature, a specific fingerprint. But we don't know what it is. So all miners are doing are literally looking for this this number. So imagine me saying to you, brother, on this beach, there's a grain of sand. Yeah.
Yes.
There's a grain of sand that is made of metal. All other grains of sand are made of silicon, but one of them is made of aluminium. One of them. Go and find it.
Got you.
So you're looking, I'm looking, 100 other mans are looking. Now, at some point, we will find it because there's only some number of grains of sand on the beach. But as you can imagine, no one will know where it would be. Is it the beginning part of the beach? Is it the middle part of the beach? Is it the end? No one knows exactly where it is. But there is a grain of sand on there that will fit that made of aluminium. So that's what miners are doing. They're looking for a specific number that will give this particular block a very unique signature that will lock that into the blockchain.
Got you.
And it will also, on top of that, it will prove, this is the key part here, it will prove mathematically that you did work. This is the issue. Imagine I just gave you a number. Imagine I gave you a number. So you gave me a number. So yeah, I mined this block. Great. What's the number? Here's the number, 2,899. Great. That's perfect. Now, where'd you get a number from? Yeah, I did lots of work. I did hard labor. I was all day. I did work. You didn't work, brother. You lied. You just made it up. But how do you prove that? How do you prove that you're not lying to me? There has to be some mathematical way of proving that work was actually done to find that number. And this is where the signature comes. Once you plug that number in with this block and you do a certain algorithm called hashing, it comes out of a very specific signature that proves that you did work. That proves you looked for the number and found it.
Okay.
That's what it is. So that's what I'm saying, that this is how you tie in. When people say Bitcoin, what is Bitcoin? It doesn't exist. That's wrong. Bitcoin does exist because you can't have Bitcoin without physical work.
Electrical work, mechanical work, you might say.
Not necessarily, because you can even mine Bitcoin with pen and paper. I mean, it's just maths. I mean, it'd be difficult. You won't be very fast at it, but the only reason why we use computers is because they do mathematics faster than we do.
Got you.
But the actual process of work can be done with pen and paper. It's just mathematics. That's what it is. So miners, if you think of it like this, one guy goes on the beach and he looks for this grain of sand with magnifying glass. He's looking. Yeah. There's only so much work you can do with one eye and one magnifying glass.
Got you.
Next man comes along with a metal detector. He's now scanning massive pieces of the air with a metal detector. He can obviously do more than the guy with the magnifying glass. Then the next guy comes along with some massive crane and magnet to come and suck up this all the metal in the whole beach. So that's what it is. That's all miners doing. They have larger and larger computers that can do more and more calculations. Whereas you can still do calculation with pen and paper, but it will just take you infinitely more longer than that what it is. So that's why we think of big warehouses and big mining rigs. All they're doing is just looking. Is it this number? No, it's not. Is it this number? No. Is it this one? And they just keep on doing this over and over and over again, millions of times, billions of times, gazillion times a second. Look for this special number. That's all it is. But the point is, once you find that number, we now know that work was done to do so, and we can calculate we can work out mathematically exactly how much work is necessary, because all mathematics. But anyway, that's just in a nutshell. That's what makes Bitcoin mining difficult, and how we bridge that gap between the Bitcoin being information on one hand,
yes,
and being physical work in the real world on the other hand. That's how you do it. As opposed to fiat, there is nothing bridging that gap. It's just a guy pressing the button, and that's it. He's got the money. There was no work involved there.
I'm with you.
Oh, actually, tell a lie. There is work involved in fiat, but like I said before, it's work done later on. Remember, you get the money now, you work in the future, and then pay me back in the future. But that's a promise. You promise to pay me back. You might not do the work. You might die, and then you still paying back anyway. So I'm saying it's different. One is a liability where you owe. One of them is real. You do first, then you earn.
I'm with you. That explanation of Bitcoin is a lot clearer in regards to something which is a bit more tangible now. It sounds a bit more tangible. It's not just something which is not linked to the real world, if you get what I'm saying.
Yeah, so people think that because they don't know how the system works, they think, oh, it's just nothing. They think of it like a bit like imagine I wrote a letter, an email. I typed in to Ismail from Muaawiyah. I think your podcast is really great. Jazakallah khair. That's just the message. It didn't cost me anything to do that other than the energy taken to type it. So what was it really worth? And
yes, exactly.
I mean, I can just type it again. But
I get you.
If in order to write that email, I actually had to climb Mount Everest and go to the top of the mountain to access that terminal to write a message and then come back. Now that email is actually worth a lot because I had to do a lot of work to do it.
Okay.
It's like I said to people, look, I said,
what's the practicalities of using it? I was sorry, if you do want to carry on with your presentation first.
I was just going to say that another analogy is like imagine you spent a whole weekend working on a spreadsheet for your whole weekend to produce, and then your friend came on Monday and said, "Oh, that spreadsheet you made on all weekend, can I just have it for free?" You'd be like, I mean, you could have it, but it's a lot of work and effort. I mean, at least give me some money for it. I mean, you value the work you did, although the spreadsheet is just information. The formulas are put inside there, the way you organized it, it's all information. But it's the work you put into it that is now the value.
Okay, how can we use this? How can we use this hard money? How can we now this currency or this unit of value has been generated? How can we use it now? What are the kind of ways we can use it?
Yes. So things that I wanted to highlight in previous sessions is that when it comes to banks and you put our money in the banks, that's actually a liability, meaning that you've given them money and now they owe you money. They're not looking after it for you. You've lent it to them. Yeah. And then if they pay you back, they pay you back, and they could not pay you back, by the way. I know people think that banks will always no. I mean, maybe you haven't experienced it yet in your life, but banks can go bankrupt and you can lose your money in banks because just like any business, they can be insolvent and have no more money to give you. So that can happen. But with Bitcoin is a global network record of who owes or who owns what. So on your Bitcoin wallet, for example, on your Bitcoin phone, on your wallet, it will tell you have 1 Bitcoin in there, for example. And that is actually yours. Nobody can take it away from you. No one can confiscate it off of you. No one can force you to do anything. It is yours. You haven't lent it to anyone. It's yours. So the very first benefit of Bitcoin is full sovereignty over your wealth. This is something people don't realize, that this is actually one of the main benefits of Bitcoin is sovereignty, whereby you actually are in possession of your wealth in your hand. Like you have gold in your hand, you can have Bitcoin in your hand.
So quick question, sorry. Does the government recognize Bitcoin? For example, just say you've got £1 million of savings in the bank, you transfer that to Bitcoin now. Does do governments, because you say sovereignty, it's mine. Does the government see that as wealth that you have at this present time?
So governments have tried to do a fast one, to be honest with you, especially UK, because if they recognize it as currency, then they can't tax you on it. And I mean, of course, they want their pound of flesh, isn't it? Yes. I mean, if you traded your pounds for euros, and then the price of the euro went up, or you traded your pounds for dollars and the price of the dollar went up, and you was able to go back and buy more pounds for your there's no tax on that. When it comes to Bitcoin, which is clearly currency, as much as they want it, they try and say it's more like art or like a house. It's an asset you might own. It's not currency. But the reason why they do that is purely because they want a piece of the pie. They want to tax you on what you're doing. And if you recognize it as currency, then the floodgates will be open. There'll be no reason why anyone will not have Bitcoin. Because if Bitcoin goes to the moon, it's all theirs. And that would actually be better off to do that than buy a house. Like, your thing is, for some of us who don't have enough money to buy a house themselves or multiple houses, you might not realize this, but you know, many rich people who know about inflation and know that their money is being deflated, what they actually do is park their money in assets that go up in value, not go down. So a lot of houses that are bought and left empty, it's not because they want another house, it's because they want to put their money into something that makes money rather than loses money.
Yes.
So but the thing is, every time you buy a house and you sell a house or rent out a house, and all those are taxable events. You pay tax on each one of those events. If Bitcoin was now a currency, that means essentially you could park your money in Bitcoin and not be taxed.
I get you.
So governments, they haven't recognized it as a currency. They do recognize it as an asset, like a house or property. So essentially, the way they look at it is that if you buy Bitcoin today and it goes up by 100%, they want their 20% cut of the profits.
If you trade in Bitcoin, they want a cut of your profits, basically.
Only if you sell. By the way, this is called capital gains. So anything you earn, any gains you make from a capital investment is taxable. So if you made, if you put £100 in and you made £100, they want a cut of the £100. They want a cut of the £100. That's why I said to people, so over a long period of time, like split, and then inshallah you have enough for hijrah. Inshallah you have enough to leave the country. Because once you left the UK, then you spend in your Bitcoin is not taxable. So imagine money invested like £10,000 of Bitcoin. Now after about 4 years, your £10,000 is now worth £300,000. That is more than enough to buy a nice house in Turkey or Malaysia, or buy something in UAE. That's yours. You could do that. If you decide, yeah, I'm making hijrah, I'm going to go to those countries, you can do that. And especially in Turkey, if you buy houses worth $250,000, which is only about £170,000, they'll give you passport as well. Khalas.
Okay, give us some ideas, some practical ways we can benefit from Bitcoin now. What's like a short-term view or a long-term view as how we can benefit from this currency right now? Give us some ideas how we can benefit from it.
Emphasize more than anything else. One thing I'd love to reinforce to people is that Bitcoin's main benefit for a Muslim is an escape from riba. The fact that our money is in the bank means we are engaged in riba, whether we like to admit it or not. That's just the reality. There's no way to rationalize it or make excuses for it. It is what it is. In the past, the excuse has been, I can't do X, Y, Z without a bank account. I don't feel safe putting £10,000 of my money underneath my mattress. I don't feel safe. So I have to put in a bank account. And that was definitely the narrative for a very long time. But now we have Bitcoin. Now we actually have an alternative to the banks. So fundamentally, from a Muslim perspective, one benefit for Bitcoin for you is a direct escape from riba.
So question, so to cut you.
No one can deny that.
So you're saying the structure, the infrastructure, the rules and regulation, the legislation of Bitcoin is firm and strong. Brothers, it's just like any other currency, gold, silver, fiat money. You can say, you know what? Bitcoin is firm. Bitcoin is hard money. Don't worry about the infrastructure. Don't worry about someone taking it over, someone turning off one switch and your zeros and your money disappear. No, you're saying Bitcoin is hard money. Don't worry about it. Go for it.
Yeah, Bitcoin is the security of the Bitcoin network is very important. Very, very, very important. And let me explain to you very briefly how Bitcoin is secure and why is it secure. Bitcoin is secure because it is a network that is distributed across the globe. Place that it exists everywhere. Money in the bank account, that means your money HSBC or called Citibank, whatever. So your money is in a particular place in their vaults, on their computer servers, exists in that particular place. So the risks of your money is down to the vulnerability of that system. Now, banks can get hacked. They get hacked all the time. Things can go wrong. That happens all the time. Whether you feel it or not, it's another issue, but it happens all the time. Whereas Bitcoin, it doesn't exist in any one place. It exists everywhere. And it's been supported by all those. I mean, put it this way. As more and more companies like Tesla, MicroStrategy, more and more Bitcoin, no one's going to put $1.5 billion into a system without some way of securing that system. I mean, let's just take that as a tazkiyah. Take that as a recommendation, or a letter recommendation from the richest man in the world, Elon Musk. The richest man in the world, Elon Musk, was confident to put $1.5 billion into Bitcoin. That's the security of the network. It's secure enough to secure that amount of money, and it's growing. At the moment, we have over $1 trillion in the Bitcoin network, and it's growing. So the question is who has more to lose, you or Elon Musk?
Yeah.
Who has more risk?
That 1 billion to him might be worth a couple of pence to him. It all depends on it. It's relative. But I get what you're saying.
Cool.
I get what you're saying.
But the point is, it's the network. It's a distributing. So, I mean, for example, what possibly could you do, or what possibly could anyone do to destroy the Bitcoin network? That's the better question. What could anyone do to destroy the network? It's actually so difficult to actually feasibly destroy Bitcoin network that it just makes more sense just to support it than to destroy it. Meaning, the amount of money and resources you need to destroy the network, if you just use that just to mine Bitcoin and make money from it, is more profitable. So it makes basically the only person who would really want to destroy Bitcoin would be someone who's not motivated by money, as in someone who doesn't care about making money. That's someone who would want to try and destroy the network. And even doing that, it's not feasible. But I guess, like I said, this video, I don't want to spend too much time on that. But like I said, check out the video about the mining, how mining works. If you see how mining works, understand how the mining network works, you would see how Bitcoin's reached a level now that it's irreversible. It's like the internet. Can you destroy the internet?
Okay.
Well, not really, because China locks down the internet, but the internet's still here. I mean, many countries may want to lock people out of the internet, but they can't stop the internet. I mean, you lived in Egypt, I lived in Saudi. Those governments have tried to lock down the internet, but it hasn't worked. Has it worked? Just get a VPN and that's it. Khalas, go through the barriers and straight as normal. It's just get back up normal. Yes, that's how it is. Yeah.
Okay, so if anyone has any questions concerning Bitcoin,
go on.
I'm just saying to
any
the
questions?
audience, if anyone has any questions, put your hand up and I'll come to you. So if you want to carry on, Muaawiyah, but if anyone has any questions, then we'll entertain them.
Yeah. So in terms of that, one of the things I mentioned was self-sovereignty. So you end up, you have the ability to own and take possession of your wealth in your hand. That wealth actually stays with you wherever you are. So imagine again, the same scenario. You want to make hijrah. You saved up a good pot of money in Bitcoin. Now you want to go to Tanzania. You want to go to Sri Lanka. Well, not Sri Lanka, but any one of Muslim countries you want to go to. How do you get your money from England to Algeria, for example, or from England to Morocco, or from England to Jordan? How do you get your Bitcoin there? Well, brother, it's already there. Remember, Bitcoin is on the network. You don't have to transmit anything. As long as you have access to your private keys, that's it. You just get on a plane.
can we go through the routine? Okay, so I have my wallet on my phone. I go to Egypt, for example. I want to now transfer. I've got my Bitcoin, my one Bitcoin in the network. Okay, I want to spend half of my Bitcoin. I want to sell it. How does that now transfer to money into my bank account, or something that I can actually spend?
First thing is, the first way to understand how things work is to first acknowledge, at least in your head, that Bitcoin is money.
Yes.
And that being the case, the same things if any money happens to Bitcoin. Meaning, if I turn up in Egypt with pounds, how do I spend that? I have to convert it to Junay or Gunay. So I have to go to an exchange and give them the pounds and get the Gunay. It's everything. Same thing with Saudi riyals. I'm in Saudi. I've been in Saudi for 15 years. Now I'm coming back to the UK. I've got a large pot of money in Saudi riyals. What do? Go to money exchange and convert it from Saudi riyals to pounds. That's it. No, Bitcoin's no different. Except that Bitcoin has the potential, a huge potential, to be used directly. So yeah, you may need to convert your Bitcoin to Egyptian Junay, but you may find Egyptians that will take the Bitcoin.
But via card, you're saying, using card reader.
No, Bitcoin. As in, say to them, look, can I buy this off you? And I'm paying Bitcoin. I say, yeah, go on.
But you're going to zap it to him wirelessly or using a debit card or something. Bitcoin debit card.
No. Bitcoin is as Bitcoin. So let me
I see.
So Bitcoin has its own mechanism.
Got you.
It transfers itself its own mechanism. So for example, look carefully here. So here we have blank wallet. Nothing's here. I go to add. So I'm going to call this wallet Ismail. Ismail. There you go. And I choose Bitcoin. So now I've got Ismail here as a wallet. I'm going to press create. Now it's made me a new wallet. Done. Now this is my Ismail wallet. There you go. Look, it says Ismail. So now if I go into this wallet, I now have two buttons.
Yes. Send me some money to my wallet there.
Like I have now. If you can see, hold on. I can see. Got receive.
Yeah.
Seriously, you'll send and receive. So I can now press receive. And now here's my QR code. Anyone with Bitcoin can send money to this QR code. By the way, don't do that because I want to delete this wallet. But now just you could just scan this screen and you can send Bitcoin literally right now. I mean, literally right. Imagine I just provided a service to you, Ismail. You're in Timbuktu. I'm in Greenland. You say, brother, okay, can I receive payment now? Cool. What's your address? Here's my address. Bang. I scan the address. I press send. So now I'm in the send thing. I press send. Put the address on that thing. Press send. Choose the amount. Done.
Got you.
That's it. I've just sent you Bitcoin. There's no middleman. There's no bank account involved. There's no third party. There's no PayPal involved. I just literally send money from me to you. Done. That's the power of Bitcoin, brother. I mean, people don't realize it because we live in a system where we have okay systems in the UK, okay systems.
Yes.
But you live in Egypt. Have you ever tried to get money from UK to Egypt? And how difficult was that?
Yeah, it's long. Yeah.
So imagine a guy in Egypt teaching Quran. He's got a few hustles in the UK. If you let students that you teach Quran to, how do they pay him? There you go. Scan my code, give my payment. So he could teach Quran while sitting in Egypt and get paid in Bitcoin. Direct. Done.
Those systems up and running now, safe and secure.
That's it. Just download the wallet and receive Bitcoin. Done. That's it. And again, I say to anyone who's interested to see how that works, I have a few videos where there's one video I made called a 1 minute challenge, where I challenge myself to download the app, open the app, make a new wallet, and receive Bitcoin all within a minute. That's from scratch, nothing. I have nothing there. The whole video, I put a timer on, download, new wallet, receive, done. Bitcoin received in a minute. Check it out. Same thing with sending. I can send Bitcoin in less than a minute. Get your address, put it in, put the amount, press send, done.
Yeah, question came to my mind now. Now, the value of Bitcoin it can go up and down, the value. Like, If you hold Bitcoin
in pounds, you have to qualify the value of Bitcoin in pounds.
Meaning by having a certain amount of Bitcoin as an investment, it may go up in pounds, you're saying. Like,
yes, you have to always quantify, because if for example, Bitcoin has gone up about, I think something like 500% since last year in pounds, but in Turkish lira, it's gone up by 2,200%.
wow.
So that means if you're using Turkey and you had a little bit of cash on the side and you put it into Bitcoin, in lira terms, you've basically it's gone insane. But the issue is, why has it done that? People need to realize, why has it gone up so much in Turkish lira compared to the pound? It's not because of Bitcoin. It's because the Turkish lira is full off a cliff. It's the value of the Turkish lira going down. Why it's gone up so much? So it's to do with directions. When you say Bitcoin's going,
it's because you're saying because the fiat currency has gone down. What that really
means that the pound's going down. Yeah. So every time you see that Bitcoin price has gone up, what you should really say to yourself is actually the value of the pound has gone down. It's about perspective. It's about perspective. How you have to measure things in perspective. So if you're only going to see money in pounds and only recognize money as pounds, then Bitcoin goes up and down in pounds. But if you flip the switch a bit and say, no, actually, I believe in real hard money that comes into existence through hard work, money that is not controlled by anyone, money that is free and open on the internet. That's my criterion. Now I'm looking around at other currencies, and you're seeing everything else is going down. Everything is falling off a cliff. Everything else is depleting and just going to zero.
Yes,
that's what's happening.
That's clear. That sounds really, really clear, because obviously there's it seems a bit mystifying. Like, what is this Bitcoin thing? You don't know about the transaction unless you do it. Unless you actually got the wallet, send money, receive money. It's like, oh, what's this funny Bitcoin thing? But never explained it like that. It makes it clear.
I mean, think of it this way. I mean, when you mention the issue, I don't know what you want to know what Bitcoin is. Think of this. Me, value, yeah. Let's just say this. I have this thing here of value, and I want to transmit that value to someone else in exchange for a good or a service. So I want to buy some food off of you. So I got the food, but I want to exchange that food for some value. At the moment, I can only exchange that value by permission from the bank. So I use my debit card. That debit card transmits information to the bank, and they allow the transaction. So it's not really me making a transaction, it's the bank allowing you to make a transaction, and the bank can stop you from making a transaction if
they can hold your money for a few days, charge you for, I get you.
Which they probably do all the time to you. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Whereas with Bitcoin, imagine your Bitcoin again, not imagine, your Bitcoin is something that has value. No one can deny that it has value. And all it is that it's a network that allows you to transmit that value to someone else. That's all it is. It's a means of communication to transact information from you. The value now, after a couple of seconds, now it's with you. That's the essence of money. Money is a mechanism and a means to transmit value.
Got you. I'm with you.
That's what it is.
Go on.
I mean, let me give some ideas of how you can benefit from it in the mind. So, okay, look, you want to set up an online business selling clothes across the world, yeah? And you want to obviously accept payments online. What options do you have to accept payments online? Because by having a website alone, you can't just do that. So, okay, you could say, come to my warehouse and pay me. No one's going to come to your warehouse and pay you money. They want you to be sent to my address.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, I put up on the screen my bank account number and sort code. No one's gonna go and send money to bank account and sort code because that's long. Go to the app, load the app, put the code in. New person, put the name in. Go to long. Okay, they could use their debit card or their credit card. Same thing. Third party, or you can do via PayPal, where you just draw money from your PayPal account. Again, third party. Or you can actually run your business anywhere in the world, in Seychelles, in Maldives, in the Bahamas and get paid in Bitcoin, and that's it. No one even knows you even have a business. Nobody. No one know. How does anyone know you're doing business? There's no third party. It's directly from me to you. Direct.
Got you. But the type of coins available, they must have a mechanism for charging you. Is there a charge? There must be some company, the network needs support, administrating the different Bitcoins. There must be a way that some people are making some money.
Again, in terms of, you're thinking of a system like a company. Bitcoin's not a company, it's a network. So there are no employees to pay. There's no insurance company that backs up the thing. There is no CEO of Bitcoin. There is no admin or customer service, nothing like that. It's just a network. Now, there are fees involved in transacting, but what are those fees and why are they there? Yeah. Remember I mentioned about blockchain earlier on. In the blocks, in each block in the blockchain of Bitcoin, there's a certain number of transactions. But it only could be a certain number of transactions. You can't have billions and billions and billions of transactions in one block. No, only a certain number of transactions can get into the block. So essentially, imagine you have more transactions waiting to get into the block than the size can hold. So imagine you have 10,000 transactions here waiting, but it's can only hold 1,000 transactions. So therefore, there has to be a system that prioritizes some transactions over other transactions. And that's why you have a fee system. So you offer a fee to the miner who mines the block, and that fee will go to the miner. So you might say, look, I want to offer X amount. Let's say I want to offer 1 Satoshi to get my transaction in the block. But our next guy wants to offer 2 Satoshis. And next guy wants to offer 3 Satoshis. And next guy wants to offer 10 Satoshis. Now, when a miner looks at all these transactions and he picks the transactions that go into the next block, obviously he's going to pick the ones that are worth more first, and then the next one down, and then the next one down, and the next one down. So if you offer a low fee, you may have to wait a few blocks down before you get accepted into the block.
You're saying any transaction may take a few days or a few minutes or a few hours?
Yeah, I mean, it depends. If you offer a very, very, very low fee, you might have to wait a day.
Okay.
Whereas if you offer a normal fee, it may take 10 minutes. It depends. But the issue to remember here, by the way, ironically, is that people think that when you have a bank transfer, it's instant. But let's be clear here. Bank transfers are not instant. It may show on your bank balance that the money is there, but it isn't there.
It's not actually there.
It's not actually there. No.
I know.
It takes about 24 hours for the banks to settle between themselves all the transactions of the day, and that's when the final confirmation happens. So transactions on the banks about at least 24 hours, maybe 48 hours to confirm. And remember, banks are not even open on the weekend, so you got to wait until Monday if you send a transaction on late Friday. Whereas Bitcoin is open 24/7. Most you might have to wait is maybe a day or two if you want to send a really low fee. And generally speaking, if you send the low fee, it's because you can wait. You're not in a rush. You don't care.
Yes.
So imagine I want to send some money to you, but I know you're not going to spend it for another couple of days.
Yes.
Bro, I'm not in a rush. Send the money when you're ready.
Whenever, yeah.
So I put the lowest fee. Maybe a day or two you're confirmed. Or maybe you say to me, brother, look, send me money now. I need to do some business right now. I put a high fee and it gets confirmed immediately. So it depends. Basically it's what's called a money market, a market whereby miners would choose those who have the higher fees to go into the next block first. Those with the lower fees will have to wait for a bit, like a normal queue system.
I'm convinced I'm kind of running out of questions. A couple of things come to mind. Is one, are there any countries that are actually using Bitcoin besides their own currencies?
Yes. Some countries, there are a few countries, when they're using, what you need to define is, have they accepted it as legal tender? As in, is it something you can pay for legally as payment? And there are a few. Japan was one of the first ones in 2016. They accepted Bitcoin as legal tender. And the main reason for that was because their own currency was pants. Germany has accepted it. The only thing that they say is that if you spend Bitcoin within a year of buying it, then it's taxable. And what they do, they encourage you to hold it for at least a year. I don't know why, but that's what they said.
And what are the
I said in German. Yeah, Bitcoin is legal.
Sorry, what is it? How has it been accepted Islamically? Like, for example, has it been accepted around the Islamic world? Are scholars saying you should use it? It's an alternative. Like, is your voice just one voice in the ocean, or are there other people who are trying to, get this thing going within, specifically for Muslims to avoid riba?
Yeah, so there are three types. There are three different opinions that have manifested itself at the moment. One is outright haram, and they give a long list of reasons why it's haram. One says it's halal, and their basis of saying it's halal is because there's no reason to say it's haram. Remember, the basis of all things in the dunya is that it's halal, and there's evidence to prove otherwise. So their basis of saying it's halal is because that's the asl, that's the general rule. And then there are the majority, I think, maybe the majority, I don't know. I can't really say the majority, but there are quite a number of them who just don't know. And say enough to say, yeah, you just don't know. No. Why am I here promoting Bitcoin while scholars, even my own teacher, Sheikh Suleiman Ruhaili, said it's haram? And the reason being, I have about 24 videos addressing all of the objections, but in a nutshell, it comes down to one of two reasons. Hear from everyone. Every scholar who says that Bitcoin is haram, the reason stems from one of two reasons. What Bitcoin is incorrect. As they thought Bitcoin was this, but it isn't, which is minor. I mean, it's just an issue of tasawwur. And secondly, and this is a bit more concerning with some, is that their understanding of how the economy works is failing. Meaning that they think this is how money is, but it actually isn't. So, for example, some scholars have said that fiat money is guaranteed by the government. No, it's not. Some say that fiat money is based on the economy, the strength of the economy. No, it's not. Some scholars say that governments protect your money from losing value. Actually, that's the opposite. The governments openly take your money and inflate it away. They actually say that. Obviously, even just now, the Federal Reserve said that the inflation in the US dollar is not high enough for me to inflate it more. So they're actually telling you they're taking money off of you and losing your value. So the idea that governments are trying to preserve your money is again, it's a mistake. So it is a long list of things as to why they have the wrong understanding of how the economy works, and because of that wrong understanding, they have said what they said. One of the worst things I've ever heard in my life. When I read it, I almost screamed.
It's the worst thing you heard in your life.
Listen.
No, go on.
No, listen. You will understand. You will understand, because what we've covered in the last 4 sessions or 3 sessions,
it's clear.
You understand how ridiculous this sounds. One scholar said he doesn't dispute that Bitcoin is currency, but he doesn't hold it halal or permissible because Bitcoin harms the central banks.
Ooh. Okay, so he's friends with the central banks.
How ridiculous is that, brother? Central banks are the mothers of interest. They are the regulators of riba. How are you supporting that system and saying you want to preserve that system, and that Bitcoin is haram because it harms that system? If anything, Bitcoin is wajib because it destroys riba.
I get
serious.
You.
If anything, Bitcoin is wajib because it destroys riba. Or at least it destroys the institution of riba in central banking. But lo and behold, it exists. I read the whole fatwa. It was like 15 pages long, and that was his conclusion after looking at the pros and the cons, and the end result was Bitcoin is haram because it harms the central banks. And I said, no, this doesn't make sense. But I did look at his credentials. I think credentials, and there's a long list of things related to Islamic banking and kind of. So I guess that's his direction. But the point is yeah, the reasons why the haram sticker has been attached to it is due to either one, a misunderstanding of how economics works, or number two, a misunderstanding of how Bitcoin works. So let me give you an example of a misunderstanding of how Bitcoin works. One sheikh said, what would you do if you put money into Bitcoin and the owners of the website shut it down? Bitcoin's not a website and no one owns any website to turn it off. Gotcha. So how does that make sense? You can't turn off the network. Much like you can't turn off the internet. It's a decentralized system whereby even if everyone on planet Earth turns off their nodes, if you're on a node, the system still works. So it's like many people have described Bitcoin like a rat, like a sewer rat, or like a cockroach. As much as you try and kill them, there's always another roach. No, serious. Many people have written papers. No, serious.
Yeah,
many people have written papers
you.
like they're saying that Bitcoin is like a roach or a fungus. No matter how much time you smack and try and kill them, there's always another one popping up that is running around, scattering around, like that.
Okay, well, I'm trying to understand the network. Okay, we have the internet. We have what you call them now, server farms. So you're saying, so for example, you have Bitcoin. So on your computer, do you have transactions running in the back like a node? Are you an official node because you have Bitcoin?
Let me show you this.
Whoever has Bitcoin, do they then become part of the network? Basically.
Oh, let me explain.
So it's self-serving. Yeah, go on.
Yeah, it's kind of self-serving. So I'm just in the process of making a new video. So I've ordered some parts. So here, for example, is what's called a Raspberry Pi. It's like a little mini computer. So I've got this mini computer. I've got a little mini hard drive, and I'm gonna make a video showing you how you can literally with these two things, you can become your own node. The question is, what does it mean to be a node? Let me explain. All a node, first and foremost, there is something called a miner and a node. They're not the same thing. A miner does one thing, and that's find that number. His job is done. You still there? But then you have a node. Then you have a node. What a node does is they keep a copy of all the transactions that's ever occurred in the Bitcoin network. So they have a copy of everything on the Bitcoin network. Okay. Now, why is that important? It's important because when you load up your Bitcoin, your Bitcoin wallet, and you want to see how much Bitcoin you have. How do you know how much Bitcoin you have? So your wallet asks the network, how much Bitcoin does this address have? And the network will say you have X amount of Bitcoin. And that's how you know. So the way to destroy the Bitcoin network is to destroy all the nodes.
Gotcha.
But the point is, anyone could be a node. We have no idea who is a node and who is a node. Thousands of people who have their own node. You can have your own node. And the question, why would you want to have your own node? Is one of the benefits of Bitcoin. Why would you even want to have a node? Let me tell you why. Rather, when you load your wallet and you want to know how much Bitcoin you have received, rather than ask someone else,
you're breaking up.
You ask your node all the transactions. You still there?
Yeah. You're breaking up a bit.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. But your video is
Can you hear me? Ismail, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Hello. Okay, you can hear.
Yeah, you're back. You're back now. You're back.
Okay. Now you're back. Now you're back. Yeah. So the question is, why would you want to run your own node? Let me explain. If you run your own node, that means that when you send and receive Bitcoin, you can configure your wallet to communicate with your own personal node. Give all the trans network, you got to like your phone again.
Yeah, yeah.
You frozen again?
I think you're frozen.
Hello?
Yeah, you're back. You're back.
I'm back
Do you
again.
do you get paid for being a node? Do you get any benefit for being a node?
Yeah, so the benefit of having a node is that you have a copy of all transactions on the network. Remember that one. You have a copy of every single transaction that's ever occurred in a Bitcoin network, which means if you want to know how much Bitcoin you have, you ask your own node. So rather than trusting someone else, all you have to do is trust yourself. So I think of it like me, like you know me. When it comes to like the center, for example, if I want to build something in the center, I could hire someone else to do it, or I could just do it myself.
You could do it yourself.
Bitcoin is the ultimate do-it-yourself.
Yeah.
Whereby you actually know how much Bitcoin you have.
You're your own bank, bro.
Because it's on your blockchain.
Yeah, you got the money and the bank.
Literally, you are your own bank. You ask your own node, you got the money here, and you got the bank. So if someone says to you, I've paid you, your invoice, you ask your own node, has he paid me? And you say to you, yeah, you have your own transactions. You don't get paid for it because it's serving you. This is serving you and giving you the right in the same. And also, when you have your own node, that means that if imagine half of all the nodes were destroyed somehow on the network. As long as you have your one, there's still Bitcoin that exists. Remember, it's like a cockroach. The moment you shut down one, there's always someone somewhere else who's got a node running. So you can't actually shut down Bitcoin because there's no way to know who's running a node and where they are. You can't, and how do you stop them?
Does it require a certain amount of people to make it viable, if you get what I'm saying? I mean, is there any idea of how many people are transacting with Bitcoin to get a rough idea of its acceptability? Is it a small niche of technocrats who are using it, or is it, ordinary people are using it these days? Like, it is that, that well known?
So one of the parts of Bitcoin or the Bitcoin network that was deliberate in its design was that the blockchain has to be light and not heavy. What's meant by that is that you mentioned about server farms. If you require a server farm to run a node, that will mean it's a very heavy system. Not everyone can run a node. But if you can run a node on something as simple as a little Raspberry Pi, which is like a little tiny computer like this, and just a little hard drive here, if that's all you need to run a node, that means anyone can run a node. And because anyone can run a node, that's incentivizing people to do so. So they get the benefit of running a node, and also it causes the network to be even more decentralized. So think of it like this: a dog is more at risk of being killed than a cockroach. Cockroach are small, a hard target, easy to hide, can't find him. Once it's gone into a little hole, halas, I don't know where it's gone. Whereas a dog, I can find a dog easy. There's a big thing there. He can't hide many places. So the bigger the network is, or the bigger the system would be, the harder it is to hide. Whereas the smaller the system, the easier it is to hide. There's actually been some phones that have been released where the whole blockchain is on the phone. I mean, think of it. Imagine a phone that can actually run Bitcoin on the phone.
Quick question: obviously you use Apple. Are there any platforms that are more easy to use Bitcoin? Obviously, you're most of them on Apple platform, but it's not Like, does it run on Linux? Is it better to use on Windows, or it's accessible to on any platform? Doesn't really matter.
So it depends on what you want to do. So mining Bitcoin, generally speaking, is Windows or Linux or has special devices. You can mine on Apple's, but it's not that great. But in terms of having a node, anything can run a node. Even an Android phone can run a node. It's lightweight. It's lightweight. The only requirement is hard drive space. That's why this thing here is a 1 terabyte hard drive. Tiny thing here. Because the Bitcoin network right now is about 370 gigabytes. So as long as you have 370 gigabytes of free space, you can run a node. Okay. But I've run a node on a computer that was made in 2007, 2009. So if a node on a system that is made in 2009, it can run anything. Remember, all it's doing is copying down transactions. That's what it's doing, copying transactions from the internet and verifying it. That's it. It's not nothing complicated. That's what it does. It just copies the transaction onto this thing, and then and if you ask it as a transaction value, it'll say yeah or no. That's it. It doesn't do anything complicated.
Excellent. I mean, I've kind of run out of questions now. Is there anything you want to say and conclude with on this discussion, more? Because I think I've covered.
There's one question. There was just one question someone had in the thing. He said, with Trezor or Ledger wallets, it shows send receive transaction. Is it similar to a node? Okay, for those who don't know what he's talking about what's called a hardware wallet. Again, I'd rather you to look at my videos when I discuss this and whatnot. Essentially, if you have a wallet on your phone, what you could do is you can actually externalize the wallet, so it's on a separate device. You can actually have your phone over here, and you can have your hardware wallet on something separate like this. Now, why would you do that? The reason why you would do that is that you want to keep your hardware wallet on something that has no connection to the internet, meaning no one could ever really technically hack your hardware wallet because it's not attached to the internet. It's separate from the internet. So he mentioned two companies, a Trezor or a Ledger. Those are just two little fobs or whatever. We can put Bitcoin on that, and essentially you can use this node to sign transactions. By the way, listen carefully. Here's a keyword: sign a transaction. The Trezor is not a node. It has no information on this thing other than your private keys. Listen carefully, everyone. There's nothing on the node, but it's not a node. It's my AirPods. But there's nothing on this node other than your private keys. The way it would work is that you would make a transaction to send some Bitcoin to like Ismail. I want to send money to Ismail. Boom. But I can't send it to Ismail until the transaction is signed for a digital signature. So what this phone will do, it will sign to this ledger. It will take the transaction, sign it like a literal signature, and then send back the signature back to the phone. Once the phone now has this signed transaction, it will broadcast to the network. So it's not to do with a node. Nodes just basically keep copies of all transactions. That's all a node does. A node has one simple function: keep a copy of every transaction. That's it. Once it has a copy of every transaction, therefore the network is secure, because as long as one person still exists on the Bitcoin network exists. It's secure.
MashaAllah, I've got you, bro. I think I'm
But what else does everyone do? What everyone do is check out the crypto.com. Have over 60 odd videos, and we've got like another 30 odd on the way coming out one a day. It's 7 o'clock every day, highlighting and teaching about.
So what was the name of the site again? Sorry, say again.
Crypto-review.com. Crypto-review, all one word, .com. We have covering everything: wallets. And also YouTube videos, so YouTube channel, obviously. Wallets, buying it, spending it, everything. It's all there. And it's the best place to go to, I mean, for Muslim, obviously. And obviously I'm biased on my own site, but best is to go to get the basic ideas. I would advise you, before you even think about investing or moving capital into Bitcoin, is to educate yourself, find good reasons why you should get a Bitcoin, Do not put anything into Bitcoin until you are right for you personally. Don't think of it, oh, Muaawiyah said if I want to do. That's ridiculous. I mean, if Muaawiyah said to jump off a cliff,
blame you.
jump off a
Yeah,
cliff.
yeah.
Don't blame me for that. I just pointed you
You
and directed
said
you to figure out it's the right place to go. You told me. But yeah, so educate.
Excellent.
And whoever's very new to Bitcoin or cryptocurrencies, I would suggest do not, listen carefully, do not get excited and start trying to trade Bitcoin. You're gonna lose your money that way. Do not. Trading currencies, Bitcoin, stocks and shares, that requires skill. If you've never traded in your life, you know what it is? I'll give you an example. It's like you want to be a Michelin star chef. You're going to be a Michelin star chef. You're going to open a restaurant, put on the front board, Michelin star chef. But you never cooked a day in your life. Now man's coming, what are you going to give them? Beans and toast? What are you going to do? No, I want to give them some nice food. But you got no experience, brother. You never even run a kitchen before. What are you going to do other than bun food and poison man?
Yeah.
So, same thing. If you go and try and trade and you have no knowledge, I've got a video coming out today, by the way, in the next half an hour on my YouTube channel. It's a video about how do you get into Bitcoin? And it's by a method called DCA, dollar cost average. I'm not going to say anything more. Tune in today, 7 o'clock on our YouTube channel, Crypto Hash Review. And you easily find it. And that will give you a basic plan, the best method, the best way to get Bitcoin for long term. And I'll leave it at that, inshallah. And I have to go, come my wife is telling me.
Brother,
listen, ready soon.
Jazakallah for your time, your informative breakdown of Bitcoin, your breakdown of money, finance. I'm sold now. I'm gonna watch that video and throw in a few pounds into Bitcoin. Jazakallah khair for that. Jazakallah khair for everyone participating and listening. I hope it's been very educational. But I think we do need to catch up maybe on a monthly basis, just to update us on any kind of technical issues happening. I will tune into your website and link up to that. But brother, jazakallah khair for that. Your hard work on this topic. I think it's needed for Muslims to stay ahead of the curve and not necessarily be 20 years behind.
Yeah, definitely.
We've got to be at the front of the curve. So jazakallah khair for that. And that is the end now. I think we're going to take a break for this. We call it Scientific Saturday, but I think we're taking a break for Ramadan. So after that, we'll hook up, see what's happening in the world of technology and science and finance or whatever. But yeah, we're going to end there, inshallah. Jazakallah khair for your time once again. Subhanallah wa bihamdika, ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta, astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.